It's Friday, Feedback Friday, the feedbackiest day of the week. Ha! It's Feedback Friday, where I respond to your feedback. And obviously, the biggest feedback video was the latest on Anita Sarkeesian and feminist frequency. And this kind of makes me sad, but it kind of makes me happy at the same time. And I'm going to say why, but I'm going to table that and talk about the other videos first so they don't get short shrift, because it was a fairly active week. And that's good because, I mean, the month of May is kind of low for YouTube videos, apparently across the board. So it's good that it's picked up because it's going to tank next week because of E3. More on that later. But first was a Mountain Monday in Doom. And people had a lot of fun with that. I'm glad it was taken in the spirit that it was intended. I'm always a little bit concerned when I let rip from a gaming perspective because some people don't get it, but that's the reality of doing anything where you're presenting ideas to the public. Some people are not going to get it. And you can only try to cater to a mass audience so much before, I just kind of feel I gotta be me. And part of me is the fact that I'm a hardcore gamer that likes catharsis gaming and very bloody first-person shooters, single-player first-person shooters specifically. And I like to swear. And that's part of the reason I like first-person shooters as opposed to multiplayer, because when I'm playing multiplayer, I'm very much an empathic person. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And I don't really like the culture of multiplayer shooters. That it has nothing to do with esports or anything like that. I don't like the trash talk. I just don't. And so when I'm playing a first-person shooter on my own, I can swear and say horrible things and get it all out. Nobody's feelings are hurt. I don't have to consider that. And I think it's really important because I don't want to change my consideration for other people. Like, that's the thing. I like being that way. I like the fact that I'm a considerate person. I don't want to change that, but sometimes I just got to blow off some steam, to quote Garrus from Mass Effect. That's a different kind of blowing off steam. Let's move on. Tuesday was the X-Men Apocalypse billboard thing. It's really cool that the community on this YouTube channel can be adults about this stuff. One person, a couple commenters, but one person said it very succinctly that there is a definite line with people who see Apocalypse choking Mystique on that billboard and Oscar Isaac choking Jennifer Lawrence. And this is a difficult thing as a performer because for people who know, I do have a performance. I have a theater background, I was a TV performer. Unlike a lot of commentators, unlike a lot of analysts, I have actually done the creative side of the entertainment industry. So I come at it from a slightly different place. I'm coming at it from somebody who does it and knows what it feels like to, not just be in front of a camera, but be in front of a camera in a sexualized way. And that's part of the reason I do talk about this stuff, because I took that journey deliberately so that I could share the knowledge from someone who's done it. And it's always disappointing to me when someone confuses the actor for the part. It leads to typecasting. It leads to actors not being able to step outside of a sort of socially accepted range of parts that they're expected to take. And that's very frustrating because we all want to be able to do different things. And the cool thing about this channel, going back to the Monday video, is you guys are open to me doing different things and exploring different things. And yes, a lot of people find this channel because of the gaming feminism stuff or the interviews, but they stay for the other content, and that's really good. I think it's important that people be allowed to show range. And of course, Wednesday I was very happy to have Rhianna Pratchett, video game writer, and somebody whose work I've personally admired for quite some time. I thought Heavenly Sword was a terribly underrated game, and I was pretty clear in the interview about how much I love the Overlord games, well, other than the last one. But it was cool to talk to her, and it's always so neat when you talk to somebody whose work you respect and you have a lot in common in a personal level. It was really cool. She was one of these people who, not to get sappy or anything like that, but somebody's like, why didn't I know you before this? We're very alike in some ways. And she's just a super cool person. So that was really exciting. And, hopefully now that she's stepped up and, pros like Nelson Blake and Brian Hill have done it, we'll start getting other gaming professionals to be less intimidated by, coming on the channel and we've still got to work on the length and figure out a way to chop up the videos into more digestible stuff. And that brings me to the Thursday video, and I wanted to talk about the reasons I made another feminist frequency rebuttal video. I almost didn't. I had conversations with a few people about tackling that video, because first of all, that means I have to watch tropes versus women videos, which for people who are curious is actually a depressing experience for me. I feel completely personally attacked by Anita Sarkeesian's analysis, and I have to put that aside because, let's face it, she's going after women with big boobs over and over and over and over again. And it wasn't quite that in this one, but one thing that people don't understand about being very, you say curvy, it means something different, but hey, I'm getting older. There's some of that too. But when you are sort of hourglass shaped like I am, you want stuff that doesn't look like a tent when you're wearing it. So this idea that clothing that fits a certain way is an invitation for sexual availability is so disturbing to me because, going back to that acting and range, it's people in my position who want quote unquote better parts as a woman get breast reductions. That wouldn't solve the problem of my butt. That would still, I got giant boobs and I'm bottom heavy. There is no hope for me. For people like Anita Sarkeesian, my body type is just branded slut right from the outset. And so I have to set that aside actively to be an adult about feminist frequency videos. And most of the time I do it. It's almost like it's a similar thing where you work in news and you have to go to crime scenes and see really horrible stuff. And this is one of the reasons I don't believe there's any connection between video game violence and real life violence, because when you see corpses in real life, it's a very different thing. Being around death in the real world is absolutely not the same as being in a video game. I kind of have to go to the same place with these feminist frequency videos and really have to take the time to go, am I saying this because it is my intellectual and professional opinion, or am I saying this because I'm having an emotional reaction? And I'm sure you can imagine that's draining. So I wasn't going to do it. And then I watched the video. And again, my record for almost sadness quitting a Tropes versus Women video is 4. It was the women as background decoration. I think the second one. I almost quit 4 times and I had to pause and go, okay, keep going. This one was 2. This lingerie is an armor. And it's funny because some people mentioned the throwback to sort of historical armor in Ivy Valentine's single pauldron armor style. Yeah, it's seen a few places among cavalry armor. Still, guys, as someone who's worn that armor, it doesn't make any sense. You cannot raise your arm above your head in that armor because the pauldron is just too big. It's fantasy like the rest of the game. It is a deliberate visual signal that it is fantasy, but there are plenty of guys with bare chests in I think Khalik is probably the most bare-chested dude, but there are plenty of guys who don't have armor around sharp objects too in Soul Calibur, and I didn't touch on that. I wanted to keep it very succinct and actually focus on things that I actually thought were harmful as opposed to just annoying. And perpetuation of rape myth is absolutely harmful. We know it's harmful. We know it holds women back from public participation. So I felt like there was a reason to tell people, like, look, this isn't just annoying. And that element of it was why I thought I couldn't just ignore it, because I really wanted to. I'm tired of constantly rebutting this stuff. But the unfortunate thing is it is still influential in the industry. And I think it's holding the industry back. I think as long as we're on this sex negative, Marxist inspired, very much gender as a class, pre-intersectional feminism analysis, then the gaming industry is going to get stuck. It actually does hold back opportunities for the depiction of women in gaming. And unfortunately, if something's just annoying, that we can ignore it. And I much prefer to be able to do, hey, this game really got this right. Like Olivia Pierce in Doom. Damn, cool, right? More on that in subsequent videos. But some of these things do actually need to be taken apart and looked at for what they are. Because you do still see developers, and I don't know how much of it is lip service and I don't know how much of it is serious, but you do still see developers praising this intensely sex negative approach. And these developers actually don't understand what's going on. And that is what is so shocking. I mean, if Anita Sarkeesian has contributed anything good to video games, it is that it really exposed the ignorance of some of the people making these games. The fact that developers had to be told, like, hey, don't start your creative process by assuming a white man is a default and then move on from there. Develop a character that makes sense for that character. I mean, my personal development process when I'm writing, it's like, okay, what do we have to accomplish and what character is going to do that the best? It's not, here's a story about a boy or here's a story about a girl. It's like, what character makes the most sense in this context? And there are things that pull you one way or another. And this is why I don't buy this argument that characters have no agency. I'm actually working on a presentation on the balance of agency in video games. The idea that developers, players, and characters all must have agency in a game for it to be successful. And if you've ever created anything involving characters, you know that through the creative process, these characters do pull you one way or another. I've experienced that myself, that you try to sort of artificially put limits on some characters, and then they keep telling you, no, I want to be this. This makes sense for me. And that's a real thing for a creative. And I think that's something, and that's what was glorious about talking to Rhianna Pratchett, is here's a woman writing a video game willing to talk about her process in writing all types of characters, not just women. And she was very candid about it. And I think we need more of that because every process is different, right? And one of the things I like to make very clear is I don't claim to have all the answers. I know what my process is and I know what the research says. But that doesn't mean on an individual basis that somebody else may not have a completely different process that works for them that's equally valid. And this is the gorgeous, wonderful, amazing, magical thing about art, is there's so much space for so many different approaches. Because we didn't have different approaches, we wouldn't need multiple artists. The entire reason of promoting diversity is so that we can have, as Brian Edward Hill said, diversity of thought is the most important kind of diversity. And the reason you get different types of people involved is different types of thinking. And this is central to intersectionalism. If people are not at the table, if they are not involved with the process, then you are not going to get original thought. And does this mean that original thought cannot come from a white man? No, of course not, because there are many different socioeconomic experiences within that. I mean, look at the Brit-hop or the chav-hop movement in the UK right now. It's taking, an urban American art form, an African American urban art form, and transforming it via socioeconomic status to Britain, where, class and race don't have the same connection that they do in the US. The underclasses are very different historically in the UK, but they understand that economic struggle. They understand that, I've been hearing a lot about the glass ceiling lately. The glass ceilings don't just refer to women, guys. They refer to anybody who's economically disenfranchised. And so these working class, chavvies in the UK are producing some badass music. Britpop's amazing. And, there's a lot of Britpop coming out by Muslim artists and Arabic artists who may or may not be Muslim. There's some Arabic Christians producing some phenomenal stuff in Europe. And it's awesome. And it's amazing to separate different points of view and to sort of get it in. But the problem is that the people who come to the table have to know games as well. And this is the mandate for this channel. And so that moves me to E3. What am I going to be doing at E3? Well, I experimented with doing content during E3 last year, and it didn't work very well. The numbers were awful, and it was so much work. And sorry about the sound quality, guys. Momo's crawling all over me. We know Momo loves Feedback Friday, right, Momo? Yeah, Momo. Mwah. That was me kissing Momo's head. So this year I'm going to try it differently. I will be doing a Mountain Monday because I can pre-record that. Otherwise, I don't know. If something cool happens at E3 and CGM, I'm going down and covering E3 with Comics Gaming Monthly magazine. One of the few remaining print magazines about games out there, and that's why I like working with them. I like the magazine format. I like writing magazine features. It's cool, and they pretty much let me do what I want within parameters. Yeah, I'm going down with them. So obviously they get first crack at any content. And I'm awesome, so I'm assuming they're going to take a lot of my content. But anything after that I think you guys would enjoy, or even if it's just little sort of, hey, here's the swag I got today, or here I am walking through the convention center, I will post. The problem is that the hotel internet connections tend to be crap. The press room at E3 itself often is not much better just because of volume. There's just too many devices. And so I will do what I can, but I don't want to promise regular content because I don't know. I'm taking a very different approach to E3 this year. I'm going to go down there and try to sort of make some actual connections with people that I can follow up with after the fact, because E3 belongs from a media perspective to the big sites that can do live streaming and have those direct partnerships, because everybody's watching the live streams. So by the time you have any sort of thing, except analysis, been there, done that, people don't want your content. They've already seen it for themselves. And I respect that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just you have to sort of know your place within the system. And that's the only way you rise. You have to understand where you are now before you can ascend. And that's like the gaming concept of get good. We know that, right? Refine your skills, level up, move forward, next map. Gather your party and venture forth. So I am going down there trying to meet cool people that will be game to do future dialogue options, future interviews, future product stuff. I'd like to get into more product stuff. I just don't know how. Somebody suggested the Amazon affiliate program, which is something I'm going to try out. And so that's my question for the week. What kind of products? I mean, I know there's a mix here of people who are very much AAA gamers and very much indie gamers, and that split makes it difficult to do content, other than omnibus content that combines a lot of games into a single video. But what kind of products are you guys interested in seeing? So that's sort of it. What kind of stuff do you want to see that way? Because the format would be the Amazon affiliates program. So basically, I would get something and have to buy it most of the time, show you guys, and then if people buy it through my Amazon affiliate link, then I get a small percentage of the sale. Now, this is obviously an element of financial risk versus rewards. So it would really help me out a lot if you guys can tell me, what sort of products do you actually buy? I mean, games, fine, yeah, whatever, but most people buy their PC games via Steam. Console games, okay, different story, but I think a lot of people more and more are also buying them straight through the store and just downloading the stuff or going to their local store. They're not buying box copies on Amazon. So let me know what you actually do buy in terms of stuff. And it doesn't even have to be technology. It could be like t-shirts or clothes or glasses or stuff like that. Let me know, because I'm really in the dark. And if I'm going to have to start spending my own money, this is my alternative to sponsors right off the bat, because it's not dictating content. I actually have to spend my own money to buy the stuff and then show it to you guys. So that's my question this Feedback Friday. We will be back with Mountain Monday. And hopefully some stuff during the week. If not, we'll be back again the following Monday. The last bit of feedback, I can't believe I forgot this before. I am going to delay Gamer's Guide to Feminism next week. That might have been obvious, but I wanted to make it clear. The majority, and it was a pretty overwhelming majority of people responded to that question on Twitter, said, yes, delay it. Especially people within the industry who have to work E3 and like, I don't want to miss it. Please delay it. So, all right, the people have spoken. It obviously it was not unanimous. Some people said run it anyway, but this was a majority rules situation. So yes, that will resume next Tuesday. And the topic is actually going to be the actual scholarship on sexual objectification theory. So you guys will have the tools and know exactly what sexual objectification is and how to identify it, because it isn't what a lot of people think it is. It isn't just a sexy character. So that is coming up a week and a half from now. Okay, guys, have a good week and see you back on Monday.